I think that I create a safe space for my students from the minute they walk through the door. I just love working with students, but I also just love creating a welcoming environment. And I don't I don't discriminate against anybody because I've been there. Been in school where I'm the only person who identifies as LGBTQ plus. So I understand what it's like to be different. I understand, you know, it can be scary. It can be scary being in a brand new place, not surrounded by anybody you know, and on top of that, you have to learn and you have to just move forward and you have to accomplish your assignments and do all of that stuff. So it can be stressful at times. And I just like to be a friend and an advocate to the students. Yeah, I just think that my energy as well as my approach to teaching and my teaching style is how I create a safe learning environment. As somebody who makes and designs costumes, I really just want anybody and everybody to feel comfortable in their costume as well as the skin that they are in. Size 2 people constantly being cast, size medium, and it's very disheartening because all bodies are beautiful. It's a misrepresentation of real life. And time again, I've heard the saying, theater is life. And it's really not. Like, a lot of times you see on big Broadway shows that people that are depicted are thin. It's not fair to those people who don't fit that mold, whether they are bigger or they're not, one shade of white. That's very relevant in big time shows on Broadway, off Broadway, etc. And it's something that I fight against every day. This rendering could have been created with the actor in mind. Perhaps the person who played this character was a very large woman. I will also point out that costume design is shifting and we're being more progressive. As a costume designer myself, I personally prefer to render my costumes after I get a show cast. I want the actors to look good in the costumes. I want them to feel good in the costume. Make alterations or do something to make it look like I kept the essence of the actor in mind, because that's very applicable today, especially with non-binary folk, because in a lot of like fashion history and costume history, everything is very much so on the binary. There's male and female, but as we know today, there is, non-binary people and androgynous people who don't fit that norm. And so it's just a matter of, progressing with theater into the 21st century. I think my teaching style varies depending on the class that I'm teaching. Applicable skills such as sewing or intro to stagecraft, it's very much so a hands-on sort of style, and it's also very structured. And what I mean by structured is when you're doing some sort of skill set, there is typically a right or wrong answer to whatever you're doing. Have a mindset that, hey, this isn't correct, but let's make this so that you can be on the right track to do this correctly. If I'm teaching a class that's more conceptual or it's more theory-based, like it's a costume design class or something of that nature, I think it's more organic. So this is also something that I submitted to the costume shop, and we are actually currently working on. We typically do mock-ups, which are just like a sample of the silhouette or the shape of the costume. And we've also ordered this fabric here that will be used for that. What is the translucent fabric? Yeah. So the translucent fabric is a chiffon burnout jacquard, which is just fancy talk, but I'll show you a picture of what that looks like. This is what that fabric looks like. We're buying it on moodfabric.com, which Project Runway, they use that store a lot. I was kind of iffy on buying this fabric. I fell in love with it because I think it's absolutely beautiful. What is on the corset? And is the black material silk satin? Yeah, okay. So we're going to go back here. So the black material is actually leather. So it's a vinyl leather. And I actually found this leather jacket here on Amazon. If I'm teaching a class that's more conceptual, I like to step back. I like to let the students create, be creative, push boundaries, push limits, think outside of the box. And for those classes, I think my assessment changes. With something so subjective as a design course, it's more so looking at where they start with the class and where they finish. And my goal for everyone, I want them to start here and I want them to finish here. No matter where the students come in my classroom, I want to accommodate for them. I want them to be better at designing and thinking and collaborating than when they started in my classroom. I encourage students to look at body types of all sizes. To get my students on board with body positivity, I just want them to draw. I want them to get used to the curves, the shapes, the organic nature of the human form. And I also just want to push the idea there is no set shape for the human body. They come in all shapes, all sizes, and as designers, we cater to the character. So we will look at the stakes of the character, what is needed, whether they're wearing a blue dress or a red dress, what that communicates, but also that same dress can be designed small to 3X and everything in between, you know. So it's very much so being open about what can be done and what will look good on all bodies, you know, because all bodies are beautiful.